And then subsequent to that, because we defeated that bill in Oregon and because there were similar bills all over the country, we were asked to write an article for one of the trade magazines. And we did. I did. I guess I wrote that one by myself. And it was just sort of a wake-up call to our community. And it did not name names. This particular article didn't talk about PETA, it didn't talk about HSUS, but it talked about this having an animal rights agenda behind it, this legislation. And it was published in a magazine, a guy who used to write for Vanity Fair, so he was not, this is somebody who circulated in professional writing circles. He started to get hate mail. He said, I've never seen anything like this before, because this article I wrote was not that, later on I wrote some pretty crisp ones, but that particular one was pretty moderate. And we got letters at home. And so then I wrote an article called Animal Rights, the History and Nature of the Beast, because by then we were really interested in what we were seeing. We saw that this was a social movement that could have tremendous negative impacts on culture. Again, remember, everyone is involved with animals. So if your public policy is based on misinformation or ideology rather than science or facts, you're going to wind up in trouble. And we do have that. We have it throughout our... You go to the grocery store now and you see that, people are advertising non-GMO this or that when there's no connection to GMOs in the first place, just to tell the public, no, we would never do that. I mean, there's a lot in the marketplace that, let me back up. I'm kind of getting off script here.
It's beautiful, it's beautiful.
But everything from Dolphin Safe, remember Dolphin Safe?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, you probably don't realize it, but I'm talking a minute ago about how misinformation winds up helping to develop bad public policy.
Right.
The Dolphin Safe policy was, people told me in Congress at the time that the only thing they had received more letters about in their history there was the Vietnam War. So the ability of the animal rights people to generate enthusiasm around a false concept, because we love animals, that's the deal. People see an animal face, all of us, and we are touched by it, and if you tell us that somebody is deliberately hurting that animal, we want to get involved. And with the Dolphin Safe issue, they basically changed the fishing in what's called the Eastern Tropical Pacific, 9 million square miles of ocean, to a method that leads to greater bycatch, more serious environmental damage, causes the fishermen to fish on females and babies, and doesn't translate to 1 penny more at the cash register. So what's really interesting about the marketing of the animal rights movement is that it infuses guilt to a point where people, to be politically correct, will say, yes, I'm for that, I'm for Dolphin Safe, but it doesn't translate to them being willing to pay more at the checkout stand. So that's kind of an interesting thing to keep in mind too. In other words, this is 1 mile long and 1/4 inch deep, the beliefs that people have. So our group, the reason our group exists is basically to clarify all the misinformation. The National Animal Interest Alliance, that's the one thing we could all agree on, is that the development of public policy and just general popular culture based on misinformation is not good for the country, and that it'll be our job to try to clarify whether it's talking about fishing, whether it's talking about biomedical research or raising pets, training pets, etc.
Mm-hmm.